Welcome and dobro pojalovat. My name is DireAjurah and this is Siberian Gaming Review. So not so long ago, some weird man called me on a linear phone promising to give me all the answers I need if I come to an abandoned communist resort. Well, first of all, how the hell did he call me on a linear phone that we threw away 10 years ago? And second of all, how the hell does he know exact day Overwatch 2 will be released? So our today's review is on a game called The Medium by Polish developers Bloober Team that released games like Layers of Fear and Blair Witch. As usual, let me start with the story, try not to spoil too much. Well, because the story is a major aspect of the game, it's a serious task. So the game takes us to Poland of 1999, where we meet our protagonist, Mary Ann, a medium that can take the souls of the deceased to the other side. The story starts at her foster father's house, which is also a funeral house under tragic circumstances. Her foster father has recently passed away, and now Mary Ann has to prepare the ceremony for her dearest person. After wandering around the house and learning a bit about who she is and her relationship with her foster dad, you're supposed to get used to the gameplay. Once the introduction part is over, she receives a call from a mysterious man named Thomas, who asks her to come to an abandoned resort that hides answers to her most important questions. Of course, she says who the hell would do such a thing and hangs up. Oh wait, she doesn't? Upon her arrival, she immediately understands that this place has a tragic past and she would have to use her medium powers. But here she finds not only unrested souls, but also a monster that takes an interest in her. So between running away and trying to figure out what's going on, you'll have a long road to reveal the truth. Not too many spoilers, right? I hope so. Overall, the game has a solid story with a good story developing. So make sure to read stuff you find and listen to the memories. Usually I would talk about how scary the game is, but in this case it's not suitable. The Medium is more of a thriller than a horror game. I think there's only one real jump scare, which is rather random. Besides that, I can say that the first meeting with the Mew, the monster I mentioned before, can be described as scary. After that, it's pretty usual hide and run with an interesting catch. You see, Mary Ann is not just a simple medium that can feel the spirits, but she actually exists in both realms. I will elaborate more about the technical part in the gameplay section. As you can guess, she meets Mew in the spirit realm, but eventually the stalker-like creature will be annoying in the real world as well. Of course, she will only sense its presence and the Mew itself couldn't see her, but still could catch her. The catching part becomes a bit repetitive quickly as Mew just lifts her in the air and you get a temporal game over, taking you back to the latest autosave point. I wouldn't say that escaping from Mew is scary, but it definitely builds up the right thrilling atmosphere. Other than Mew, you will encounter a couple more other spirit monsters, but in my opinion it's not really scary but just plays the role of building up the right atmosphere. Atmosphere of being all alone in an abandoned resort filled with unrested souls needing your help and some unrested spirit monsters that are anything but friendly. Moreover, the game has certain psychological horror elements that I cannot mention without giving major spoilers. But let's say that if you put yourself in the shoes of certain characters, that might be a horrifying and even terrifying experience. If you look at the game from this angle, it definitely delivers exactly what it's supposed to. However, if you expect a more typical jump scare type of horror game, you might not really find enough of it here. Now allow me to talk about what really makes the game unique. The gameplay. The basic gameplay gives us a fixed camera angle, which took me some time to get used to. I'm not going to criticize this choice much, but I'd just say it's not the cup of tea I'd usually choose. Other than that, the basic part of the gameplay is rather intuitive. You interact with objects that either provide you with story details or help you to advance with the story. One cool thing here is that Mary Ann can look at some of the items through her medium powers to hear a short monologue or dialogue related to the item. But of course that's not what makes the gameplay stand out. As I mentioned before, Mary Ann exists both in real and spirit realms, and you can see it as a screen divided in two. It mainly serves as a puzzle-solving tool. The door in real world is locked, but in the spirit world there's an opening. Well, you can leave your body and take control of spirit self in order to fulfill your task in the room, but be quick because there's a time limit. Or your path is blocked by an horde of bloodthirsty spirit moths? There's a solution for that as well. As her spirit self, Mary Ann can collect spirit energy from certain spots that she can later use as a shield. Usually, you can find such a spot nearby, But mostly, in order to absorb the energy, you have to restore this energy well first. You do it by finding a missing item, most likely by using your both selves. Later on, Marianne also reveals a way to go between realms through the mirrors. That also serves as a nice addition to the puzzle-solving potential of the game. Overall, this tool gives the game some interesting moments when you switch between two worlds in order to keep on going. But most of the time, when you see your screen divided in two, you have to concentrate on just one half, and the other half is just a nuisance to your hardware. On paper, it sounds like a fascinating mechanic, but I truly think it was not fully utilized. It's like driving a brand new Ferrari to buy milk in a small store 50 meters from your home. Can you do it? Yeah, sure. Is it necessary? You tell me. Instead of split screen, I'd personally prefer taking control over Spirit Self whenever needed. Now allow me to talk about something I usually prefer to avoid: soundtrack and voice acting. At least up this point, all the games I reviewed didn't give me a reason to do so, but the medium is different because Akira Yamaoka worked on the soundtrack. I didn't play Silent Hill when I was a kid, so I didn't touch the similarities between the games, but I did get a chance to listen to Yamaoka's music, so I can definitely recommend it. To get a taste of it, I recommend you to search for a song called Voices. It was sang by another no-name, if you're familiar with Silent Hill, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, and was co-composed with Arkadiusz Rejkowski. You can take me for this recommendation in the comments. And the voice acting is a straight A tier, with every voice fitting perfectly, in my opinion. So how would I rate this game? Is it a good game? Yeah, pretty much. As I already mentioned, it's not a typical horror game, but rather a thriller. The main focus here is the story and the split-screen gameplay. The story is pretty good. It's not one in a million kind of story that would leave you mind-blown, but it definitely was written by people who know what they do. And again, in my opinion, the gameplay was a bit of an overkill, but overall it still was pretty enjoyable, so if your PC can handle it, it won't be a huge issue. So I hope you found this review helpful. Those who play the game, feel free to comment whether or not you agree with me. Take care and have a nice day. I'm DireAjurah and I'm out to play some other games.